This conference will now be recorded.
Hey everybody, welcome to our first, actually I guess this is our second segment of BV411 videos that we're shooting for you guys.
We need a theme song.
We need some intro music.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're coming to you today because we want to actually talk to you about the all-inclusive evaluation process. We've been talking about this, JR is hammering it. And we've been talking to all of you who have been on the phone calls each week with the all-in session, which ends this week. So as we enter this next phase, meaning going into the end of 2019 and opening up a new year, a new decade, we want to just make sure that everyone is in the process that wants to be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And speaking of the process, we're developing kind of a new mantra for the team, and that's trust the process. And we're going to start signing things on the page, trust the process. And that's just because we want it to get instilled with everyone, kind of ingrained. Because you've heard us say this before, but we're realizing more success by just trusting the process and letting the outcomes go as they might, and not focusing on the outcome. For so long, we lived and died with the outcome of, whatever it was, a meeting, a proposal, whatever. And, if you do that, you get emotionally attached and you get emotionally crushed if it doesn't go your way. But if you have everything invested in the process, if it doesn't go your way, part of the process is after that meeting, go back and say, what could we have done better? What didn't go well? What did go well? Right. And then you evaluate and you move on and you get better. And getting better is the continuous process improvement, which is the process.
So let's talk about the process. What is the process? The process is, as JR says, that we are going to do 2 evaluations per week. It's not, I'm going to get you in the business. It is, would you evaluate the business to help me? Mm-hmm. It is not pounding somebody over the head and going, oh, I got a hot one and they're going to do it. They're going to do it. And then, oh, I'm so crushed because they chose not to do it or they didn't call me back or whatever. Mm-hmm. I understand what you guys are going through because I used to get deflated with that kind of stuff. And that takes posture. It takes building yourself up, which comes from a lot of feeding the brain. JR always talks about feeding the brain. What are you listening to every week? What are you reading every week? What are the little statements, the scriptures, whatever it is that drives you? What is in your world that's going to drive you every week to stay on task to doing 2 evaluations per week? So in order to get, let's talk about the numbers, because in order to get 2 evaluations per week, you're going to have to book more appointments per se than 2, because people are going to just not show up. People are they're going to flake on you.
They're going to say no.
Yeah. So people get sick, things happen. So whatever, you're going to book more than 2. So let's just talk briefly about leverage, because leverage is really important. Most of you are working. And when you're working and you have families and you have, things to tend to, just like the rest of us do, then you need to make sure you're leveraging your time. You don't want to be talking to individuals one-on-one, because if you book 4 appointments every week, that's time off of you. So we want to make sure we're leveraging that with HBPs. What's an HBP? A home business presentation. A home business presentation might be in the home where you're inviting people in. It might be in a coffee shop where you're inviting 2 or 3 people at a time. It might be online where we're doing these group team evaluations every week in 30-minute overview. It's something to whet their appetite. It is those 8 slides that we've talked about that you have on a flip ring that are laminated. It is not going through the whole plan. An evaluation is simply, would you evaluate this for me so that you might be able to point me in the right direction? So this first session is going to be on how do you get people to evaluate. And then we will go through the process in future calls. So let's just talk about that, Pip, in terms of ourselves as well as teammates. We've seen people go through what I would say posturing difficulties.
Right.
So we're going to play this out. I'm just going to kind of utilize you as the prospect.
Okay.
Okay. And so you guys, we have a sheet that's on BV411.com, and under the tools, you'll see this evaluation approach. So it's under the tools. It's also under the, I believe it's under the home business presentation on how to invite, but it's under the tools. So basically it's going to be, you know, if I'm calling him or I'm in person, whatever it is, it's going to be, hey, Pip, do you just have a minute? You know, I might be passing him by in the hall at work, or I might be just in the grocery store, or I might be calling him. Hey, Pip, do you have just a minute?
Sure.
Great. I only have one myself. Why are we doing that? We're doing that. I'll answer my own question. We're doing that because people don't have a lot of time, or they don't think they have a lot of time. And they prioritize their time with stuff that really gets in the way of moving forward in life. But they don't know that. And it's not our job to tell them that right now. But the thing is, we want to make sure they know we're not going to take a lot of their time. So we're going to break this down as we go. So just, hey, Pip, how are you? Do you have a minute?
Yeah, I do.
Great. So do I. I only have 1 minute myself. I'm actually looking for a little bit of help. I don't know if you realize that I recently started my own business. Stop here for a second. If you have not recently started your own business, that is not your line. We are just taking this that if you are new or you've been around, you're going to teach your new partners to do this. If you've been around a while, like we have, okay, you're not going to say, I just started my business. You're going to say something to the effect of, we just recently moved here and we're expanding our business here. You could say, I recently had a change of life that now all my kids are out of the house and I'm expanding my business that I've owned for X number of years. Something, come up with something that fits who you are, because being authentic is going to be the name of the game. If you're not authentic, people are going to feel you from afar that you are all about another game. So what do you always talk about? The fact that you've got to be authentic and you've got to come from yourself.
You got to show that you're trying to help the other person, because it's about the other person. It's not about you. And I think what happens a lot of time, and whether it's conscious or subconscious, is, you know, people are thinking, I have to get another person. I have to get activated. I have to do this. I have to do that. And you become married to the outcome, because that's the goal. The goal is about getting people or whatever. And that shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be to help the person that you're in front of. We have a vehicle, and that's what our business is. It's a vehicle to get people to where they want to go. It's your job to get them to test drive the vehicle.
And that vehicle might not be what you have with marketamericashop.com. It might be that you actually are referring them to something else that would answer a need for them. But the thing is, when you help people authentically, they are going to remember you. So again, it's how many people can you bless today? And it's not blessing them with Market America, it's going out and blessing them. What can you infuse into someone's life to make them feel good about that experience they just had with you? And the more people you make feel good, the more the universe will bless you back.
Right. People are put in front of you for a reason. They're in your path for a reason. Now it's a matter of just fine tuning what you say so they understand where you're coming from and that you're coming from right here.
That's right. So let's jump back. So Pip has agreed to listen to me for a minute. He's agreed to say that.
One.
I'm expanding my business in the area. I don't know if you realize that I'm expanding my business, and I'm looking for the right people to help with either our products, our services, or our business. And it may or may not be a fit for you, and either way, I'm okay. This isn't about you. But I know at the very least, you probably know a few of the right people to point in my direction. And I was just wondering if you would evaluate what we're doing.
Sure. There's no harm, no foul right there. She took it away. There was no pressure. Would I evaluate to help her? Yes.
And so that's it. That point right there is the posture. If you hesitate, and you know, when you first took your own job that you're in right now, or you started your own business, you had to practice to get good at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
We listen to you guys. And we're like, wow, they're so good. You guys are so good at what you do and what you talk about. You're so, convincing without trying to be convincing. But then we listen to what you say with the business and we go, oh, wow, people sound like they're trying to convince somebody to do something they don't necessarily want to partake in. So again, you're looking for people, if they don't spark up and say, I'm willing to help you, say, that's all right, no harm, no foul, I'm good with that, appreciate it, and walk away. And just know that you might be able to bless them in a different way, and they're not blessing you today, and that's okay.
And by the way, even with this approach, you'll still get some rejection. You'll still get people who think, oh, it's one of those things and this is a backdoor approach and she's trying to get me, and maybe they won't call you back or they won't answer when you call. You know what? It's part of the process. Don't get attached to it and move on. And you're moving on because if you have one bean in the bean jar, and you know what? You're going to focus on that one bean. That's what the whole thing that JR shows. If you only have one, then 100% of your effort is on one bean, and they're going to feel it. But if you have a full bean jar, then they all know you have other people.
That's right. And the more people you have in there, and the more they know that there's people around and you're busy, busy, busy with people, that's what starts attracting people to go,
Right.
oh gosh, there must be something going on here.
Right.
I want to be a part of it.
Right.
So it's really important to put those 2 evaluations in, meaning 4 or 5 appointments that you book per week to get 2 evaluations. And then out of those evaluations consistently every week, over 52 weeks, you would have done at least 104 evaluations. Out of those 104, you're going to 1, get experience, 2, get posture, and 3, get success. What happens is when you're not consistent, you go back into that almost, I hate to call it, but it's almost like greedy mode. People feel you coming from afar, and we have to be cautious what we're putting out on social media too, and staying positive and not focusing in on the negative aspects of the world and ourselves and politics and religion and just negativity and darkness in the world. We want to be the light to other people.
Right. We want to be a magnet. We want to be attractive. So anything you put out that doesn't attract people is not helping your business. What we want to do is attract people, all people. And so it's a matter of keeping everything positive and hopefully make people feel good and want to see what you're posting on social media because they feel good when they see it.
So last little tip we're going to leave with you today is this, and this is a biggie, you guys. If you are new in the process, and for anyone that's watching this at any given point in time, if you're new in the process and you aren't comfortable doing that first initial evaluation quite yet, you've got to talk about the people that you're working with. Mm-hmm. So you've got to go forward, and even if you are confident and postured, you're going to still use some of these lines as you move forward, but maybe not at the very first statement. So when you're saying, we're expanding our business, or I'm expanding my business right now, or I recently opened my own business, whatever it is for you, you're going to say, and I really trust the people I'm working with. You have got to put in that line of, I really trust the people I'm working with. And you don't have to edify the people you're working with that much at that moment, but just you're edifying by just saying, I really trust the people I'm working with. Mm-hmm. Because now they go, well, if he or she trusts the people, maybe there's something here that I should listen to help them. But if they feel like, especially if you've been involved in other businesses and they haven't seen success from you in those in that industry, then what's going to happen is they're going to go, oh, they're on to another deal. And sometimes, you know, a lot of us have come from other things when we land here. Excuse me. So it's really important that we make sure that we let people know that we really trust the people we're working with. And then you're going to move just forward. Would you be willing to give me 45 minutes to evaluate what we're doing, or 30 minutes, whatever it is? If you're meeting in person, I think you do need to give 45 minutes so you have enough time to meet up, buy that coffee or tea, chit chat a little bit, and then get into it a little bit.
And I want to add something here. On that initial meeting, it might take 15 minutes to build the rapport. You don't want to jump right into showing a plan. And I think that's another thing that, you know, maybe it was never taught. You're having a conversation with somebody. Learn about that person, and you'll find something of interest that you have together, mutual interest. and expand upon it and have conversation. It might be where they moved from. It might be what they do for a living. It might be some vacation they took. But learn about the other person and then connect personally with that other person. So there is a connection other than the plan that's on the table. I think we miss that. I think the art of conversation is a critical skill that we don't talk about. We just kind of go into, well, then show the plan. But there's a human connection that has to take place. And if you're really working towards helping them, then get to know them and get to know what it is. It happens all the time. There's always some point of common interest that you can hone in on and have a conversation. And all of a sudden, subconsciously, they like you because you are like them in some way, whether it's the college they went to, whether it's the football team they root for, it doesn't matter. Find something that you have in common and build the rapport.
Awesome. Awesome tips, you guys. So I hope this was helpful. In closing, we just want to say what he's really referring to that we see over and over again that we had to build and other people have to build is our interpersonal skills.
Right.
So building those interpersonal skills will give you posture. And when I say posture, again, it's not posture of I'm going to hit you over the head with a 2x4 and show you this information. It's building that relationship so that they begin to trust you and they want to help you.
Right.
And so if you feel that people are pushing away and saying no, I could tell you we've worked with so many of you over the last 6 months. And those of you who we've worked really closely with, I know you agree with us that it was going back and working consistently to do those evaluations and consistently working on listening to audios, working on ourselves to build those interpersonal skills to build up our posture.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know right where we need to go with our next one, but we want to keep these short and snappy. So
Snappy.
Today's was short and snappy, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.